Hey guys, it's Ava Landen here. Our first day we'll be cutting the fabric. If you're using jelly rolls, you won't actually have to do this step unless you're like me, where, as you can see right here, I've done half jelly rolls, and this is actually quite a lot because this came off of a roll. And the other half I'm going to do in a background white fabric. So this is about as white as I can get this fabric in. I'm sorry, I don't remember the manufacturer, and I'm not quite sure, but if you go to your quilt store, you'll know which is the bright white. It's just something you can see and tell. All right, so for cutting the fabric, I actually have a bit more. This is just extra that I have laying around in my stash, which is why we're doing this quilt, because it's a stash buster. What you'll see here is I've actually gone through and lined up the whole, or at least this bottom part of the quilt, the folded piece, to, I guess this is the 1-inch line. It goes all the way across. And so what you want to do is line up your folded fabric, of course, with the folded side facing you. And you're just going to line it all the way up. I happen to have a rather large mat. This is 36 inches. So I'm not sure if your mat's that large, but either way, after you cut, then you'll just reposition it to make sure everything is lined up. What you'll notice at the top, up here, there we go, get that in the camera. These don't actually match up, but for what we're doing, they don't have to. Because what we're going to do is actually sew these strips to the printed strips. And then from there, I usually clip the edges, mainly because I don't like a lot of waste. So if I'm not going to sew with it, then I'll clip it. The other thing you'll notice is that for this first initial cut, I do go ahead and I line up the bottom edge right here to make sure I don't, again, waste a lot of fabric. See, right there on the corner. What we're going to do is then take our ruler and we're going to line it up and we're going to cut on this line. Now, you don't want to make a habit of cutting on the line because it wears your mat down, but I find that for the initial cut to get everything even, it's actually quite nice. So, there we go. To line up the fabric, I'm sorry because I am doing this with one hand, what you're going to do is actually, I like it better on the other side so I can see the lines. Really, we're not looking for the numbers. We're simply looking at the lines. What you want to do is, you'll see right here, and I'm going to line up my ruler right there. There we go. And you line it up on both sides since we are sticking to one line. It makes it a little easier. Again, that's because we have so little fabric on this side. Let's see if I can get a better shot of that. There we go. And you see how it's all lined up. Now you're going to take your rotary tool, and you'll see that mine is a little larger. I use a 60 millimeter rotary tool. 45 will work. It's just that a lot of times I cut heavy duty materials like canvas and a lot of utility fabrics for some of the bags that I make. So for me, this is the perfect size. Again, it's already in my stash and it's sharp, so I wasn't going to go out and buy another one. But if you're still gathering up supplies, you can get a 45, works great. The smaller rotary tool that you get, the easier it is to make those really pretty curves that go around. And so since I am doing this again with one hand, I'm not going to cut it, but you can see how we've lined it up. It goes all the way up basically from that point up there. When you go to cut it, since I am using one hand, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to actually cut it, but I will show you how to position it. So you want to have your hand about midway on the ruler. So it's about midway. And from there, you just you hold it down pretty tight because you don't want this thing to slip. Because if you slip, then you got to cut it again. And again, that's just wasted fabric. And considering how much this stuff is, we don't want wasted fabric. So hold it pretty tight. And you're just going to run the blade. And my blade guard's on, so I'm not actually cutting again. And you're going to run the blade pretty much right on the line to ensure that it's straight. Now, if you're just beginning doing this, you don't want to do it too fast. And I say that because sometimes people get confused with the coordination and they might let up on their hand here and it slips. Since we're only doing 18, take your time. You've got all day pretty much, because all we're doing today is cutting. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece off, and I'll be right back to show you how to do a 2.5 inch with the fabric cut.